friends, welcome back to my channel. If you happen to be new here, hello, welcome to my little cozy corner of the world. My dog is right here with me. Dobby, say hi. My name is Kimberly. I am an author as well as an illustrator, and here on my channel I love to share about books, about writing projects, and just about living a cozy and intentional life. Those are the things that you can expect here from my channel. But today, friends, today is one of my favorite videos to make during this time of the year as we are transitioning to summer into the fall season, and that is just sharing my fall bucket list with you guys. I love creating bucket lists for the seasons because for me it's a great way to just romanticize the seasons, to romanticize my life, and to just get the best out of each season. I feel like each season comes with its ups and downs, and creating bucket list of things that I enjoy to do for those particular seasons really helps me get out of my shell. It really helps me to look at the positive things of a particular season and to just get the best out of them, right? We get each season once a year, and I love doing things for each season. I didn't really get a chance to share my summer bucket list, but I did not want to skip fall because fall is my ultimate just season that I love. I just feel the most alive during the fall season, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that. And I explained in my last video that is because I feel like this is a season where my energy is finally matching up to the vibe of the fall season, which is like very meadow, very just relaxing and slow paced. And I feel like that's just my vibe. That's just the energy that I give off. Which is slow paced and just meadow and just taking my time. That is the era that I'm in right now. And I feel like when I'm in the fall season, it's just the season matches my vibe and I just feel right at home. Now in front of me, friends, I have a couple of book recommendations, books that I have read that I feel are perfect for the fall spooky season. I have a couple of activities that I want to share with you guys that I feel like are great to do during the fall season. And I'm also going to be sharing with you guys some fall DIYs that I'm planning to try out this fall season that I just feel just sounds so much fun. I've never tried these before. These would be my first time trying them. If you guys know me, you know that I'm a big DIYer. I love doing DIYs. I love finding budget-friendly ways to be able to amplify my space, to do decor. And plus it's just so much fun to be able to sit down, maybe pop in a fall or spooky movie and just get to crafting. It's like a whole vibe. I love making a whole vibe out of situations, and I feel like we need to do more of that. Create a whole just main character moment and get into the groove and do some cozy crafting, especially for the fall season. It's just so much fun. I love doing that. So this is going to be a pretty chatty video, so feel free to bring some water, some snacks, a blanket, and let's get into my 2024 fall bucket list. Let's start off with the fall crafts that I am planning to do this fall season. These are budget-friendly crafts. I feel like these are things that you can find at the dollar store or even at the thrift store. I feel like when it comes to decoration, especially seasonal decoration, you can totally just get away with either thrifting decor or DIYing it yourself and getting materials from the thrift store or from the dollar store. Last year I made these, I'll see if I can find a picture, but I made these beautiful little wall hangers out of just materials from the dollar store, and it was just so much fun to do. They were so spooky, very dark cottage, which if you know me, you know that's the vibe that I like. I love dark cottagecore. I love dark academia. Those are usually the things that I lean to when it comes to decor or just in general, honestly. And I was able to make these cute little wall hangers from just materials from the thrift store. I think in total I probably spent less than $15, and it was just so much fun to do. So the first craft that I actually want to try out this fall season is to make these beautiful corner webs for my bookshelves. I have 3 bookshelves behind me. I have been Pinteresting ideas of what I want to create, and I've seen these gorgeous spider web corners for your bookshelves, and I just thought that was so cool. I believe these are made out of metal, you know, that bendy metal. So I'm planning to try those out and see how it works. I have a couple of ideas how I might go about creating these and actually attaching them to my bookshelves, but I am definitely planning on making those, and honestly I might even keep those up year round. They just look so aesthetically beautiful. I'm just excited to try this one out. The next thing I want to try out for crafts is creating a huge spider. I've seen this picture here, I believe this is from Target, and they sell these huge dangly spiders. I think this year for me is definitely going to be one of those years where I'm just obsessed with spider webs and spiders in general. So I'm thinking of creating this big spider, and I'm thinking of propping it up somewhere here in my space, maybe like above my TV, which is right in front of me. I feel like it'll give like a nice little spooky vibe with the long legs just dangling. And I feel like this is made out of, you know, that it's like paper. It's like those little rolls of paper that just are super long, that I feel like you could twirl them and put them up in the ceiling. I don't know if that makes sense. I'll see if I can find some pictures and put them in here. But I feel like that's maybe the material that I could use to create the spider, the body, as well as the legs. It'll just be so much fun. I think I'm making it pretty huge, and it'll just be a nice little decor to pop in my space. The next fall craft that I'm planning on doing is doing ghosties on vintage frames, or just honestly spooky drawings in general, but on those golden vintage frames. I am obsessed with those golden vintage frames that are just everywhere. I have a couple in my collage wall back here, and they just look so beautiful, very dark cottagecore, very dark academia. I'm thinking of just hand painting them, maybe a small little piece of mixed media paper, and just doing spooky, simple drawings and just framing them on those gold vintage frames, which you can also find at thrift stores. I have been able to find some at thrift stores, and I always like to buy them. I actually found this picture frame at the thrift store, and I found this last year and I haven't done anything with it, but I'm thinking of in each little frame to just do something spooky, maybe a ghosty on one of them, maybe a pumpkin on the other one, a witch hat on the other one, and just making it a whole little collage wall and just putting it up on my wall or having it stand up on my bookshelf. I think that will be so cool. I remember these from way back in the day. My mom used to have a whole bunch of these in the house, and then they kind of went out of style, and I've been finding some of these at the thrift store. I'm just loving them. I'm loving them so much. So I bought this one last year and I totally forgot about it. So this is the year that I'm going to be doing something with it, and I'm so excited. Another fall craft that never fails me, that I just feel like it's so easy and budget friendly, are garlands. Last year I made a ghosty garland just out of newspaper clippings. I made a stencil of a ghosty, different ghosties, and then I went around and I just cut newspaper clippings. I cut around them the stencil, and I just made a whole garland. So this year I'm thinking of doing another garland, but maybe a different one. I kind of like this picture here of the crows. Something about it just looks so cool. Again, I'll probably just make a little stencil and then cut out the crows and just make a garland, and it's just so easy, so much fun, and it just looks so nice. All right, friends, so those were some of the fall crafts that I'm planning on doing this fall season. Honestly, I have so many more, but for the sake of just actually getting to them, I am limiting myself to just trying these out for now, and then if I have the time and the space to do more, then I will go through my Pinterest boards and see what else I do. All right, friends, so now moving on to some fall activities that I'm planning to do this fall season. These in no way are new activities that I've never done. I do these every year, and something about them just makes me feel so alive and so good. So I recycle these activities every year because they're just the best. Starting out with the first one, that is literally the first thing I like to do during the fall season, and that is collect fall leaves. I like to go around to my local park and just collect fall leaves. Something about just keeping memorabilia of the leaves starting to change, that subtle transition between summer and fall, it just feels so magical. And I love going around just collecting those very first leaves that are starting to fall, that are starting to just change in color, and taking them home and pressing them in between books. Here are a few that I did last year, and they're all nicely dried up. I am thinking of doing something with them. maybe like a garland, or I'll see what other crafty things I can create with these. But it's just so nice to keep them in between book pages whenever I am having the autumn blues. Maybe it's spring or summer. I like to go through these books and just look at the fall leaves and just romanticize, fall is gonna come again. And just remember when I collected these leaves, it's a nice feeling. So collecting leaves is definitely my number one thing that I love to do every fall season. Another thing that I love to do every fall season is to do a puzzle. I think I love to do this every season, honestly, but I had not gotten a fallish, autumnal spooky puzzle before, and I finally found one, you guys. If you didn't know this about me, I am a huge Harry Potter fan. I am literally obsessed with Harry Potter. I will watch Harry Potter once a month, honestly. I don't think I've ever gone longer than that without watching Harry Potter. I just love the movies so much. I love the books so much. I love the storyline so much. I grew up with the Harry Potter stories, and they just make me feel so nostalgic. They make me feel like a little kid again. They allow me to believe that magic is real, and it's a nice feeling. And I finally found a Harry Potter puzzle that I really loved. I love this art so much. Just look at this, you guys. It is so pretty. I found this at Target, I believe. Yeah, at Target. And I wanted something that was not 1,000 pieces because that will just give me anxiety. And this is 500 pieces. And it is the most beautiful thing ever. I haven't even opened it yet. I was waiting to do this video, but I am so excited to try this out this fall season. And I'm even thinking of, once I complete this, probably framing it, just because the illustration is just that gorgeous. It's so beautiful. I could just imagine doing this puzzle with the Harry Potter movies in the background, with some nice snacks, with something just warm to drink. Oh, it's just gonna be a vibe, you guys. I told you guys that I live for the vibes, okay? And this is gonna be a whole moment. The next fall activity that I feel is so good to do during the fall season is to visit historic places or even spooky places. I love visiting historic places. I love learning about the history of places, and something about doing that during the fall season just makes me feel so alive. I feel like I'm in a movie, or I don't know, somewhere, just living my best main character life, and it just feels so good. I believe last year me and my husband went to the Winchester Mystery House. I live in California, and the Winchester Mystery House is a very spooky place. It's a mansion with a very rich history. If you've been there, let me know down in the comments below what were your thoughts about that. But we have gone there several times, and it's always so much fun. It's so much fun to go, to continue to learn. But I feel like this year we definitely want to go check out some different historic places and just look at the buildings and the structure, because most historic places always have this very intricate look to them, and it's just so beautiful. I love looking at buildings. I love looking at old historic buildings. They just look so magical and so beautiful. Something about looking at historic and vintage places just makes you feel like, wow, there's a whole history that lived here before me. Another thing that I like to do, which is free to do during the fall season, is to go on scenic drives. Me and my husband live for moments like this. When we leave early in the morning, we go grab a coffee or a hot chocolate, and we'll go drive through our scenic nearby places where there's a whole bunch of trees and you can see the leaves starting to change. So if you do get a chance, I urge you, go and look for those places where you live, where you feel like, oh, if I drive through here during the fall season, I'm going to be able to see all of the leaves change, and it's just going to be so beautiful. So go take note of those places where they're at, and once the weather starts to change, once you start seeing your local trees, their leaves starting to change colors, go and take those drives. You are not going to regret it. Live for those little simple moments. I feel like we as adults, we tend to just overlook that and just be like, oh, I don't want to make the drive. I don't want to do that. But honestly, it's actually making time for those moments that really brings so much life to us. I feel like we need to do more of that to create those magical moments for ourselves, Because as kids, we used to do that. And then we grew up and we're just like, oh, I don't have time for that. But guess what? We can make time for that. Okay. And it's so important that we do. You will see that reflect in how you feel throughout the day and how you feel about your life. Moments like that for me, it just gives me so much hope for anything, for the future, for the things that I'm doing, for humanity, for the world. It's an undescribable feeling. And lastly, another thing that me and my husband love to do during the fall season is, as soon as October hits, me and my husband like to make a list of movies to watch each day leading up to Halloween, of fall or spooky vibes. I remember when I was little, Disney used to do, what was it, like a Halloween marathon for a whole week up to Halloween day, and it was just so much fun. So me and my husband do that, but for the whole month of October. And honestly, you can even do that for September. Maybe in September you could do more fall vibes movies, and then in October you could do more spooky horror movies. So we might do that this year, but we always do that every year, and it's always so much fun. All right, friends, so now moving on to books. These are books that I have read that I have super loved and that I would recommend for you to read this fall spooky season. Starting off with these two short story novels. The first one is Her Body and Other Parties by Carmen Maria Machado. I listened to the audiobook, what was it, like the beginning of this year, and I fell in love with Carmen Maria Machado's writing. Their writing is just so lyrical, very prose, and these stories are so creepy. In the synopsis, it says that these are stories that cross the border between psychological realism and science fiction, comedy and horror, fantasy and fabulism. These are 8 startling stories that map the realities of women's lives and the violence visited upon their bodies. These are not easy stories to consume, but they are definitely creepy. I love reading short story novels because you could kind of put this down and pick it up whenever you want to. It's not like a whole story in itself that you have to read. So this is great for when you just want maybe one short story to read out of this whole book. And the next one is 19 Claws and a Black Bird by Agustina Basterrica. I listened to the audiobook of this as well, and oh my gosh, you guys, this was so creepy. I really enjoyed Agustina's way of incorporating her cultural background into the stories. There was one in particular that I still cannot stop thinking about. It was about this soccer team, and oh my gosh, you guys, that was so creepy. So if you're someone who doesn't want to read maybe like an entire novel, pick up short story anthologies. These are great, and you could take your time with these. Moving on to graphic novels. You guys know that I love a good graphic novel, and the first one I want to recommend is Over My Dead Body by Sweeney Boo. I read this, what was it, last year, and it was so good. If you are a fan of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, you're gonna love this. This is about a group of friends who go to a witchy school, and I believe one of them ends up turning dead, and they're trying to blame one of the other friends, and our main character sets it upon herself to try and figure out what happened to her friend. Oh, this is set in an institute. So think of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, but a little bit more dark academia. This is it. I enjoyed this so much, and the illustrations on here are very, very autumnal. Like, look at this, you guys. That is so autumnal. I love it. The next graphic novel I want to recommend is Through the Woods, Stories by Emily Carroll. This is another short story collection book, but in graphic novel format. I will say that these stories are very creepy, and the imagery on here is very eerie and spooky, but I absolutely love the illustrations on here. Every short story is different, but I feel like it's kind of tied to one another in its own way. Honestly, read this one with the lights on because it was creepy. You have abandoned castles, you have ghosts, you have skeletons. It's just full of eeriness, okay, you guys? So read this with the lights on, trust me. The next book I want to recommend, I've recommended this so many times already, but I absolutely love this series. And that is Paola Santiago and the River of Tears by Taylor K. Mejia. This is a story about La Llorona, which is part of Mexican culture. I believe in English it is called The Weeping Woman. So this is sort of a retelling from that old folktale. about a young girl named Paola who one of her friends goes missing, and they believe La Llorona, the weeping woman who lives in the lake, took her. And now it's up to Paola and one of her other friends to go and try and find them. It is full of magic. It is full of folklore. I love the main character so much. And it's a fun time. This is the whole series, I believe 3 of them. I've only read this one, but I already know I'm gonna love them. The next book I want to recommend is Ravenfall by Kaylin Josephson. Look at that cover, you guys. Very fall. I love it so much. This follows our main character who is a psychic and lives in I believe a bed and breakfast that her family owns, and they're all psychics. And one day this manor gets a visitor, and our main character right away knows why he's there, and that is because he is looking for his brother who went missing. And so our main character, who is a psychic, takes it upon herself to try and help this person to locate their brother who went missing. It is full of fall vibes. It is spooky. It has all of the elements that I love. It's cozy. You guys, this is such a fun time. The next book that I actually read this year that I want to recommend is The Society for Soulless Girls by Laura Steven. The little blurb in the back says, a modern gothic gem. This has dark academia written all over it. This follows our main character who ends up getting into this institute where it used to be like, what was it? A place where nuns lived. I forgot what that's called. 10 years ago, 4 students that went to this college or this institute mysteriously died, and the school got closed down, and then they reopened it, and our main character got accepted to go there. And our main character is sort of tied to one of them, like her parents knew her parents. And so our main character takes it upon herself to try and figure out what happened to these 4 students. And what she finds is not cute, you guys. Okay, all I'm gonna say is creepy nuns, creepy buildings. That's all I'm gonna say, but it was such a good time. The next book I want to recommend is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. I listened to the audiobook of this maybe, what was it, like a month ago? You guys, I am still thinking about this book. I am stunned. I still can't get this story out of my head. This follows a group of friends who years ago went to go hunt a deer. They ended up hunting the deer, and the repercussions that follow after they hunted this deer is not good. Years later, each of the friends that were involved in this hunting of this deer, each of them is sort of going mad. And it seems that the deer, or the spirit of the deer, has something to do with them going mad and them doing very, very disturbing things to other people and to themselves. I am trying to get through all my Stephen Graham Jones books, and this was such a good starter, so I highly recommend this book. And the last book that I want to recommend that I don't have a physical copy of, I listened to this on audiobook format, that is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. If you are a fan of vampires, because hello, I am, I mean, who isn't a fan of vampires, then you are going to love this book. This follows our main character who is a vampire, and she lives with her sort of vampire husband ish. He kind of just keeps her captive, honestly, and throughout the years they kind of live a very secluded life, and it's just pretty much a story of our main character and her life with this vampire husband of hers that keeps her captive, and you get to see how manipulative he is. It's a very sad story. The character takes you throughout her entire life living as a vampire throughout the decades. This book is written, I believe, in first person from what I remember. It's a very sad story. The character takes you throughout her life and what it feels like living with this vampire husband of hers that keeps her captive and is very manipulative. It was a very short read. I believe the audiobook was maybe 8 hours, 6 hours long. And honestly, S.T. Gibson's writing is just so beautiful, very atmospheric, very lyrical. And I love a very sort of prosy, lyrical type of writing, and I feel like it was very much fitting for this type of story. So if you're looking for something that has vampires and it's a short read, I highly recommend this book. All right, friends, and that is it for this fall bucket list. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments below something that is part of your fall bucket list. I would love to know. I am so excited for the fall season. I am so ready to start just decorating more. Of course, I'm going to be vlogging all of it, and you guys will get to see all of that. Remember, friends, that you can create the life that you want because you so deserve it. I will be seeing you in a video very, very soon. Take care and bye for now.